Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show, the podcast dedicated to lighting you up with inspiration, motivating you to be better in all areas of your life, and igniting action inside of you so that you can ultimately create more impact in this world that so desperately needs you. On every Impact Show, we dive into mindset, health set, leadership, and something personal so that I can coach you to be the very best version of yourself. With that, it's time to dive into today's Impact Show episode. Yoo-hoo! Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And I hope you're fired up today because I sure am. Got an awesome workout today. It was full octane. And let me tell you what, this podcast episode today is going to get your wheels flying, my friends. Buckle up because it's all about your one snap away. And I got a doozy for you today because I got my great friend Brett Rypien. Brett's a quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings. And this is called One Snap Away, inside the mindset of an NFL quarterback. Now, here's the deal today. You're going to get Brett Rypien, and we're going to talk about mindset mastery, faith in the fire, grinding in the shadows, and the one snap away mentality. The one snap away mentality. I'm going to have a mindset clip after that. And then I'm not going to get emotional on you, but I'm getting ready in just a matter of mere hours to board a flight to North Carolina to go see my son Luke graduate from college. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. But I want to share some insights with you and some universal principles about, man, this 4-year period that went by. And I'm going to get personal in my personal section with y'all today. All you moms and dads, whether you have young kids in middle school or high school, maybe college or maybe beyond, are going to relate to these universal principles that I share. Because let me tell you what, I'm a hot mess when it comes. I can't believe he's graduating in a matter of days here. And as you listen in today, I know that you're going to be fired up. So without further ado, this is called One Snap Away. And I'm going to dive right into the content right now with my man, Brett Rypien. We are back. And yes, I've got my man, Brett Rypien, in the house. Brett, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, we have so much to catch up on, but just if you have not, seen social media, heard Brett on any of the previous podcasts, Brett's going into is it the seventh
year? Yeah.
Seventh year in the NFL.
2 college careers now.
7th year in the NFL, is with the Minnesota Vikings now. We've been together training for 6 years. It's the 6th year. Yep. Seems like we started yesterday, but 6 years. We just got done with the session today. We're all sweaty, smelly. If you can smell us, take a deep breath in. You can smell us. What was today's session like?
Triple C, core conditioning cuff.
There you go. C3, we called it. We had the core, we had the cuff, the rotator cuff, and we had a lot of conditioning on that. So we're getting better, getting ready to go to OTAs right now as we record this on that. I want to talk about football. I want to talk about life today. Brett's he got recently married last year, and his career is evolving. And I would say he's one snap away from becoming a household name, which is the truth. On this, but I got some rapid fire questions. Ready? Ready? Yeah. Rapid fire. Favorite teammate who stood out to you in the NFL?
Cortland Sutton. First
Why?
name that comes to mind. Just work ethic, positive attitude. You know, when I was in Denver, we had really some tough seasons and a lot of high expectations. You know, he was a guy every single year. He was one of our higher paid players, you know, battled through an ACL injury, but just brought energy, brought juice, brought a selfless attitude every single day. Like, he's exactly what you would want in a number one receiver. And, you know, I was able to see him and I was able to see him down at the NFLPA golf tournament that I just went to in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, just the same guy. He's been the same guy since the first day I met him. And, you know, I think Denver's going to have a really big year, and I think he's going to be a big part of it too.
Rapid fire question number 2. Your coach, Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell. Thoughts?
Yeah, he's unbelievable, man. I mean, he's, you can definitely tell it's funny watching him, the workout videos that we saw of him when he was training in here like 12 or 13 years ago. He's got such a presence about him now. And I think, when those guys kind of get into that role, they have to mold and adapt, but he's been able to do it, better than most and done it very quickly and had a lot of success. So it's been awesome to, play for him and a guy that really understands the quarterback position too, obviously playing it. So, he's a lot of fun to work with.
That's why I ask, because those of you that don't know, Kevin O'Connell was a star quarterback at San Diego State University from San Diego. And then he trained here upon his graduation when he went to the Patriots and was training here with our guys 2012, 2013, that time frame. And then has since gone on, obviously, to have an illustrious coaching career, still young in that. And now you having the opportunity to play with him there in Minnesota. I love seeing it because I know Kevin's mindset and what he brings to the game. The Rypien Cup. What the heck is the Rypien Cup? And by the way, if you don't know, Brett's uncle, Mark Rypien, who was on the podcast way back, we'll have to put that in the show notes. Mark was the Super Bowl MVP quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Joe Gibb, the Redskins, as Mark said, the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs led team. But the Rypien Cup, what is the Rypien Cup?
To put it short, it's competitive, but it's a golf tournament that, I've been doing with my family for, this will be our fourth year now doing it. And it's kind of been my off-season project every single year. Obviously Mark, my dad, Tim, and my uncle Dave, they were all born in Canada. And they still have a lot of relatives up there. So we do a golf trip up in Canada every single year. It's a Ryder Cup style event where in the past it's been me and my friends, so all guys around my age, 28 to 32 or whatever, versus the three brothers, and then they bring usually 3 to 5 guys up. It's usually 6 versus 6 or 8 versus 8, and we have a great time. I mean, I go all out. We got t-shirts and hats that we've given out. This year we have like a $300 gift card that we're doing for the winners. And it's not the way we ended up doing it this year. I couldn't get enough young guys to come, so we actually did a draft. So we have probably 8 older guys and then 4 guys around my age. So Mark's actually on my team this year. I think that's going to bode well for us. We're both really competitive, and I'm looking forward to it again.
I love it. Talk about your dad, because your dad looks like he'd still play like college or pro sports. He's a stud. Talk about him, like your relationship with your father.
Yeah, my dad's been my hero, man, since ever since I've been playing sports. He was my coach in baseball growing up, and I'm getting a little emotional talking about it right now. But he's went through a lot throughout his baseball career. Was drafted in the second round, and didn't make it. Made it to AAA, and I think that's weighed a lot on him throughout his life. Especially with Mark having the success that he did, and my dad's he's one of the best athletes.
Mark's his brother.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Mark is his brother, and my dad is one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Just watching him play golf, his just pure hand-eye talent, competitiveness. There's no one as intense as he is. When you watch him, when I go back home and I'm competing with him, it's that's I feel like I get ready for training camp. He's 60. I think he's going to be 61 this year, and he can still do 300 double jumps in a row. Super, super impressive stuff. So, I mean, he's awesome, and it'll be great they're going to be coming down here in San Diego this summer too. So we always have a great time.
It's always great to see him. I know he's a workout freak. You used to do a lot of working out with him, including a lot of jumping rope.
Yep.
Talk about it, because we've been talking about this in our workouts, the amount of jumping rope that you have done and are doing now.
Yeah, I think it's critical for any quarterback, young quarterback, to build foot speed and rhythm with your feet. And we used to do this. We used to have this jump rope program that we used to do at my high school, and really in middle school as well, as when we kind of started doing it. And you start with 2 feet regular jump, then you go to 2 feet side to side.
How many?
You do 100. So
100, yep.
But you have to do 100 in a row, and then if you don't, you get a score. So if I only did 13 in a row, that my score for that jump would be 13. Then I would move on to side, however many I got in a row. And it got to the point so that you do 9 different ones between a 1 foot side to side, 1 foot twos, 1 foot four square. So you do all that, and you get the maximum score you can get for the first 9 is 900. Obviously, if you get 900 or 100 on each of them.
Jeez.
So we used to have a competition at my high school that we used to do, and it was great because like guys like it was a great way to compete, but also like an unbelievable workout to get into.
What were some of the top scores?
Well, they could go really high because after you did the first 900, it was how many you can get in a minute as fast as you can.
So people got 900?
Oh yeah, I would get, like when I started getting really good, I could do 900.
Which means you didn't mess up once.
Didn't mess up once. And then you would go a minute as fast as you possibly can. And then from there, you would do however many consecutive double jumps you could get. So you add on, let's say you did 120 in a minute, that already puts you at 1,020. And then I think I got up to 200, 250 double jumps.
Guys, we're issuing it right now. It's called the Brett Rypien Jump Rope Challenge. We're going to issue it when this podcast drops, and we're going to see what's the score that one could get with the number of jump ropes. 900 jump ropes. How many can you get out of the 900? That's impressive.
Yeah, we can put a link for the program.
We still got to create it, but no, that's awesome. Wow, 900 jump ropes. Well, and that's all because of your father too. Like you guys were jumping ropes since you were a kid.
Yep. Yeah, we did jump rope a lot. We used to do they had the 5 dots.
Yeah, 5 dot drill.
Yeah, 5 dot. I remember reading that, that was one of Tom Brady's favorite drills growing up, like as a kid. And my dad loved that one too. So we used to do that one all the time as well.
Nah, I love it. I got to ask you, speaking of football, NIL. It's a crazy world we live in. I keep teasing I'm going to do a whole episode on just NIL. But just what is your overarching feeling and thought on the NIL?
Yeah, I think it's great for a lot of reasons, and it's also bad for a lot of reasons. But the way that it's set up right now, I don't think it helps schools. Like I went to Boise State, and that's a mid-major, as a lot of people would call it. And I think it's going to be a hard landscape for them moving forward to try to keep recruits. The fact that they were able to keep Ashton Genty this last year and, as a Heisman candidate, was really cool to see. And I think that's a guy that has a special character and was like, I'm committed to this school. I was recruited here. They were the first school to recruit me. But I think there's got to be a change in terms of the transfer penalties and all that different thing. I mean, you see the story with the Tennessee quarterback who's asking for more money and doesn't show up to spring training. And that's to me, that's a professional sport thing. That shouldn't be a college action. So I don't know. It's a crazy time that we're in right now, but I'm sure there's going to be some revision to it over the years.
Have you thought like, man, 7 years ago when you're playing at Boise State, like how much money would I be getting?
I mean, you certainly do think about that for sure. I mean, especially, with being a 4-year starter, I would have had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. Or would you have gone somewhere else? Right. Like back when I was playing in 1990, you think about, now it's just crazy that you're talking about the Tennessee quarterback going from $2.5 million to wanting $4 million. I mean, that's more than many guys in the NFL are making. Yeah. Right. So it is a different era that we're dealing with. I'm going to have an episode just on this because I love picking your guys' brains on your thoughts on. I got my own thoughts on the NIL. It's a crazy, crazy world. Got to ask you, because I know you listen to a lot of these episodes, your favorite Impact Show episode of all time.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the last time I was in here, but the Joe Pangilinan episode was definitely my favorite. I think it was the first time that he came on, but the last one he did was really, really good too. And just getting to know Joe like throughout my time here at Fitness Quest, and then getting to work out with him and knowing his stories, it's truly, truly inspiring, and something that I try to carry with me when I go to work every single day. I think that I have, some stress on my plate, and, he's out here truly fighting for his life every single day. And, you're just such an inspiring guy. And, I constantly, I'm thinking about that quote now too, the tale of the two wolves, as you guys discussed in, that last podcast that you did with him. But, that definitely stands out to me for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely touching. And to see what he's doing now, heck, we had him into a recent workout. If you remember, Joe started another round of brain radiation.
Yep.
And I'm like, Joe, come in to work out. So it was you, Jordan. I don't know if Drew was there that day or not, but like he was there. He loved it. It was like, he loved it.
He's in there doing ladder drills, 1 foot ladder drills. I'm
right.
Like, this guy can still go.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And last rapid fire question. You also had a chance for several years to play with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
What did you learn from Russell? A veteran of obviously 15 plus years now.
Yeah.
What's like one of the lessons that you would share that you learned from him?
Yeah, I would say just, really being true to yourself, and the work ethic that he brought and the authenticity that he brings. I think he gets a rap that comes off that maybe people think it seems disingenuous sometimes, but it's really like that is who Russell is. And he brings that same attitude and that intention every single day. And he, I watched him go through the hardest time of his career, through a lot of lows that season. And he stayed
in Denver.
Denver in 2022. And he stayed the same guy throughout all of that. And, he would come in the same day with the same attitude, the same work ethic, like did not back off one bit. Even some games that we were, probably clearly out of it, he always believed. He always believed that there was a chance, there was an opportunity to come back. And I think that's what's made him, so successful over the course of his career, is he's just got that no quit attitude in him that has allowed him to be, as good as he has been.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's good. Well, hopefully those rapid fire questions give you a little chance to get to know Brett even better, because in the 6+ years I've had the chance to hang with this guy and train him and coach him, one of the things I've recognized is he's a special man on many levels, not just as an athlete, but now as a husband, as a human being. And I want to just go into the 3 themes I'm always talking about: body, mind, soul. Body, mind, soul. Matter of fact, I want to start with mindset, because Brett, one thing that we've talked about every year is your maniacal focus on your mindset and how you get your mind right on a consistent basis. During season, obviously in the off season, you're here in San Diego training, but what are maybe 2 or 3 things that you do consistently that allow you to make sure that your mind is right during season, off season? What are some of those best habits that you have?
I think prayer and meditation is huge for me. Like starting every single morning with, literally just talking to God. And building a strong relationship with God. Me being a man of faith, I think that is the foundation of every single thing that I do. And I've noticed that, throughout my career, I've gone through so many ups and downs, and I've been through about every single situation that you can. And there's so much uncertainty every single year. I haven't signed a contract where I have any guaranteed money through 7 years. So it's like every single year I'm going into the training camp not knowing what's going to happen. So I've really learned to, live in this mindset of being expectant and not anxious, and living in victory and not for victory. And when I say that, what I mean is I wake up every single day, and if I have another day in the NFL, I'm thankful. And I'm whatever God has planned for me. And I've truly learned to try to just let go of any sort of result. And, if I get cut and my career ends tomorrow, that's what God wanted for me. And it's taken me a long time to try to grasp that. And I still am working on that every single day, like trying to really lean in and trust God. But the more that I can, talk to him and build a relationship with my Lord and Savior, that, I feel like I truly am more at peace when I'm out on the field, and more at peace in just my daily life in general.
Yeah, it's good. The word talks about so much about do not worry, right? It talks about worry a lot. So many of us worry all the time. And you're saying you put your faith in the Lord, and by doing so, it removes the worry or puts your focus on what's the most important thing, which allows you to go do your thing. What else besides prayer and meditation?
Something I've been doing over the past 3 months, which I've noticed a huge change just in my ability to focus. I've gotten off social media, which that was a big change for me. Yeah, I literally cold turkey got off X, got off Instagram, and what I've noticed is that like I think often we in today's day and age, like we consume so much information, and our phones are these supercomputers, and they're able to relay so much into our brains, but our brains they don't run at that same speed as our phones do. And I think you can really only consume, at least this is what I've noticed, you can only consume so much throughout a day before your brain is just overwired and burnt out. And so I feel like I've had a lot more energy throughout the day. I'm able to, focus in a conversation a lot more. My attention is able to stay on to conversations, like I said, and just whatever I'm doing a little bit more than I have in the past. So that's been a big change for me. And I really like the way that I've been able to feel throughout this entire 3 months now that I've been doing this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how long I can go.
Has Laura, your wife, said that she senses anything different in you? Are you more present in conversation or with her?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, the biggest thing too, is like, especially during the season when I'm gone all day and I'm really not on my phone. And then it's like, okay, I get home and, I'm scrolling through Instagram or whatever. And it's like, why am I, connecting with the phone instead of connecting with my wife or, whoever that's right in front of me, like just being in the present moment. I think that's lost a lot. I feel like, and I see it, constantly in our locker room as well. There needs to be more connection, face to face there. So I don't know. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah. What will be your recommendation on that? Is it like go cold turkey for those people that struggle with maybe even low anxiety or angst or overwhelm, or they don't have enough time in the day to get done everything they want to get done? Like, well, based on your 3 months of being social media free, what would you say would be I
certainly throughout my career, I've struggled with anxiety and just with all the unknowns that I have, like I said, going through every single year throughout my time in the NFL. But I went cold turkey and just...
Why? What made you do that?
I don't know, man. I think it was just like, I've always been I've always been in the mindset of, trying to improve myself as a person,
sure have.
And not only as a player, like I think that just comes with the job, but like, how can I improve myself as a person, as a husband, as a son, as a brother? And
you always have.
I don't know. I really wanted to, I think what I noticed especially was a lot of, issues that maybe, and not issues, but problems that I was maybe having, in my relationship, or, just feeling like mentally I wasn't, always present or there. I think stemmed when I really started to take a look at my life, like stemmed from the fact that like, I'm just trying to get home and I use social media as like, almost like a relief, just try to scroll through and like get a dopamine, hit or whatever. So, that was for me one thing that I was like, I'm just going to try this, go cold turkey on it. And I've noticed a huge difference.
What's the mindset that keeps you going? Is there like a theme or a mantra that you have that keeps you going?
I think, like I said, the one thing I really try to lean on now is the living in victory and not for victory. I remember I had a teammate, Cooper Kupp, and who's a guy that I look up to a lot. When I was in LA in 2023, obviously he's an Eastern Washington guy as well. And I remember him saying that to me, and I didn't really understand what it meant at first, but like the more you sit on it, you're like, when you're living in victory, you're not focused on the future. You're looking at all the moments that have led you up to this point in your life, and you're thankful for where you're at, truly like in the moment that you're in. And you really start to trust God more, because you look at, maybe hard times that you've had or great times that you've had, and how God has been there for you through all of that. And so for me, I think that's what, kind of keeps me present and grounded every single day. And then I think it's just that pursuit of, becoming the best version of myself. I think that's, something that, like I said, I've always been, I think in the mindset of when you're living, you should be trying to improve every single day. You should have that growth mindset in every area of your life. And so I think, not trying to stay stagnant and just trying to see, where is God going to take me, and enjoying the ride. Positive or negative, ups and downs. I've been through it all, I feel like, over the last 3 or 4 years of my career. And
you keep popping up.
And you keep popping up and you keep going.
How much does the mindset of I'm one snap away from living my boyhood dream of being a starting quarterback in the NFL, how much of that does that play into the pursuit to keep going versus the pursuit of the process? Like, hey, I'm one snap away from being a household name. People are like, Brett Rypien, who is that? Like, he's one snap away from being a household name. Like, you one snap, guy gets hurt, you're in, and everyone knows who Brett Rypien is. How much does that keep you going versus living in victory? Like, I'm here to be the best version of myself, and whatever happens, happens. It's something like an ego versus like where I'm at right now.
Certainly.
Your true being.
Yeah. And I think in my past, that was my main motivation. Is like, I want to be that guy. I want that validation, from other people. I want that validation from my teammates. I want that validation from my coaches. But what I've found is that gives me no joy, like in what I do every single day. So I think now for me, like the focus has more become like trying to build up my own self-worth, and like really what is my motivation every single day getting up? It's, trying to be the best version of myself, and the best, the best husband I can be, the best son I can be, the best brother I can be. And, really building up my own self-worth so that I don't really feel like I need the NFL. Like I want to feel like I bring a lot to whatever, endeavor I'm going to be going into, and knowing what those values and what those core values are for me every single day, and being confident in that and who I am, has really, really helped me. And I think has made me a better player and a better person as well. And so I don't, if it happens for me, great. But if not, it doesn't. That's what I've learned. There's so much out of your control in this league, that you just have to be confident in what you bring to the table every single day. And if it happens, great. And if it doesn't, it is what it is.
It's crazy to think that now, as a 7-year vet, you're now the veteran. Like, you're the veteran quarterback in the room, right? When it was your year 2 and 3, you're just like hanging on to like keep getting that job. Now you're like, hey, what veteran quarterbacks are available? Oh, Brett Rypien's available, because you're that vet guy, which almost puts you in a different category and league on that. That's an interesting with that mindset there. I like it. I want to talk about the physical aspect, health set, because you do a lot to keep your physical edge, because obviously mentally you're one of the sharpest guys I know when it comes to your ability to really compartmentalize. And then when it comes to your physical aspect, what are some of the unique things that you're doing that is allowing you to keep your edge from a quarterback perspective?
Well, certainly I think what we do here at Fitness Quest and with you every single day, I mean, the quarterback specific stuff, whether it's, shoulders and core.
Doing push-ups off the bands today.
Doing push-ups off the bands, but, all those little things. And I think, the main thing for me is just feeling like I stay consistent and activating those muscles that I know I need to use every single day when I'm out there on the field. So I think physically, like the main thing is keeping my body in a place where I feel like I can go out and I can perform at a high level, and that comes with recovery and all those different things. And for me, it's, I do some soft tissue work, but I really like to stick to, cold tub, hot tub, sauna, and stretching are really like my main modalities that I go to for recovery. But I think, like I said, the main thing is just consistency every single day. And that goes, like I said, with what my self-worth is and who I feel like I am and who I feel like I want to be. I want to be a guy that's consistent every single day when I wake up. All right, I'm going to go through this routine. I'm going to go through these workouts at Fitness Quest and stay consistent with that. And with that comes confidence in yourself when you get out on the field that, you're physically ready to perform and you don't need to worry or think about anything.
How much in the NFL do you think is physical versus mental? Obviously, you have to have physical gifts, but if you have a lot of physical gifts, which many guys do, but they're not mentally strong or capable of the preparation, what would you say? Is it 50-50, 70-30? Is there a way to gauge that? Because it's so Both. It's right. It's
totally. And I think it's, to be honest, I think it's 80 mental, 20% physical. And the reason I say that is because I think everybody physically at that level is ready to go.
Good point.
Like you don't make it to the NFL if you don't know how to work out and you don't have a work ethic. But the guys that can stick around for a long time and the guys that really play at a high level, I think for one, they're very confident in what they bring to the table. Like I said, they have a very high sense of themselves. And number two, they just stay consistent throughout the ups and downs. Like I think of a guy like Sam Darnold, who I've known since he was, a senior in high school. We came out the same year. And, you look at all that he's been through his career, going to New York in 2018 and at 21 years old, like really, really young, stepping into the NFL, into that organization and that market.
Wait, that's right. I forgot Darnold went to the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets have been through some quarterbacks.
They've been through a lot. But just that organization in general, I mean, I think, everything starts from the top down. And I don't think that was a situation where, he was really given, you can say he was given a fair shot, but I think there's a lot of situations that are more advantageous in the NFL than others. And so then he goes to Carolina, he's kind of injured and in and out. And then San Fran, I thought he was going to have a great year in San Fran. And obviously Brock played unbelievable, brought him to a Super Bowl that year. And then he comes to Minnesota last year. And the whole talk is like, Minnesota's not going to be anything because it's,
right.
They have Sam Darnold as their quarterback. Well, this Sam Darnold is this, Sam Darnold is this. Everybody's identified him as this certain player. Mm-hmm. And what does he do? He just goes out, he has a routine, and just consistent work every single day, and leads us to a 14-3 season. He was top 5 in every passing category that you can look at. But that starts with his habits and his mindset of just like not bending, not breaking. There was a lot of ups and downs throughout that season, and he just was as steady as they could be. When we lost our first game, it was like, oh, well, this is Sam Darnold showing his true colors, and he didn't listen to any of that. It was just like, I'm on to the next play. What's the next thing, right? Like, what's the next thing in my process that I have to focus on? And, for any young quarterback out there or any young athlete, I think that's a guy that you can look at and be like, man, talk about going through some adversity just continuing to come back again and again. And, and then he got a big contract this year. So I'm hoping he has a great year in Seattle.
Yeah.
Except when they play Minnesota.
Absolutely. Speaking of training, we recently took a class trip up to the new franchise, Impact X Performance, up in Huntington Beach. And you're like, we got to see IXP. Let's go up there and train. And we went up and had a heck of a workout up there. What were your impressions and thoughts of Impact X Performance?
It was unbelievable. I mean, you walk in and the whole thing, first of all, it's massive, right? Like the ceilings are huge. There's so much natural light that gets in there. And then I think the lighting just in general, like you can tell, like I know the motto is be the light. And so that was the first, and my initial impression was like, wow, there's a different energy and a different feeling here. And then you get to see the recovery station and, that main area where everybody's able to hang out. And then you have the group fitness station. I mean, it was special. And it was, we obviously had an unbelievable
knockdown, drag out.
Yeah.
Finishing with rocky abs.
Man, it was a great time. And then got to use the recovery facility afterwards, go, sauna and cold tub. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be IXP to Minnesota, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's make it happen.
Minnesota, can you hear me, Minnesota? Well, I'll tell you what, it was great having you up there. I know Andrew Ruiz and Amanda Middleman and myself, it was great having you up there. And I know we have many more trips up there, and hopefully we get one down here in San Diego pretty soon too. But man, it was special. That's for darn sure. Besides training and besides mindset, soul set, as a man of faith, you, as mentioned, have been through good times and bad. Talk about your faith and how your faith has gotten you through the good and the bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, my faith is the number one thing I lean on. And if I don't start my morning with a prayer and a conversation with God, I can tell there's just a little bit something off in my equilibrium. And so that's the one thing that I feel like is a true non-negotiable for me is that time with God and that prayer. Just because I know that, like, if I just continue to put my faith in him, like, everything is going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to. And I don't have to, my mind doesn't have to go to, oh, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? You just watch it all play out in front of you, and you keep taking a step forward and keep, like I said, try to become the best version of yourself, and, do those habits that, like I talked about, that keep you moving forward in the better direction every day.
Do you have a verse that keeps you going, or like your go-to memory verse? Do you have one of those?
I'm not one of those people, like, I think about Russell. Russell can recite a bunch of different verses. The one that I go back to, and I say it, I kind of do a meditation on it before every single game, is Psalm 23. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And for me, that's one that, like, that just goes back to that mindset, right, of living in victory, and the mindset of no fear, and the mindset that, like, no matter what, and you envision that verse, right, of I walk through the valley, and it's maybe a little bit dramatic, like, football is not life and death, but there's a lot of things that are uncertain, right? When I'm a backup quarterback, I don't know if I'm going to get into the game. I don't know if this is going to be my last snap in the NFL. There's so many different things that can go into your mind, right? Like, so it's like, I don't fear anything, right? I'm in this valley, this dark valley. There's, when you really break down that verse, it's like talking about, walking through the shepherds walking through there's wolves and all these different things around, and he's got that rod and the staff. He can't see anything in front of him, but you don't need to. You just have that faith. And that's what, to me, like, clicks for me in my mind with that verse. Is just like, I don't need to know what's going to go on. I just have that faith that, whatever's going to happen is exactly what's supposed to happen. And kind of puts me in a peaceful mindset. Yep.
So when you think about that faith and walking in faith and staying in the present now, do you ever get to the point where, let's just fast forward, I know you don't like looking in the future too much, but let's say in 5, 7, whenever your football career is over, do you ever think about what's next? Or do you not? Do you think about, hey, I want to someday get into coaching or finance or training or whatever it is? Like, do you think about that now?
Certainly. I think, I have to, you prepare for the worst. And that's one thing I've learned. Like, I don't have guaranteed money, like I said. So you prepare for the worst. I think, the best piece of advice my dad's always given me is you got to prepare for the worst financially. So it's like, all right, what does that look like if, I get cut tomorrow and I have to start now looking for a job? So it's like, I do, these things run through my mind constantly. And, I think there's a lot of different avenues that, I'm going to be able to dive into, but I thought about a lot of different ones. I could see myself going into finance. Obviously, coaching will be always something there that I think that, could be an option, but you never know. And
coach is definitely gonna be an option. How long have I been saying that for you?
We've been talking about it for a while. And
guys, you're listening to a guy who, if he ever goes into coaching, he's gonna have a short. I'm making the predictions now. A short career as a coordinator, quarterback coach for a couple years, and then you're going to be hearing about him as the head guy of a team if he chooses to go into the coaching route. Because, sometimes I think, Brett, that backups make better coaches.
Yeah.
Regardless of sport. Yeah. I think of some guys who are just gifted and it just came easy. They don't have to study like you. They don't have to. Some of them do, but your football IQ and EQ is so off the charts high that someday, if you ever go into that route, man, it's just, I just look at all sports. I look at basketball, I look at football, I look at across the board is, even though you approach it as if you're the starter, the amount of study that you do every week, heck, in your off season right now, the amount you put in more than guys who are starting in the league because you're still trying to make it. I think that mentality and that work ethic puts you at a point that if you are ever at the top, either as the starter or as a coach, regardless of assistant coach, quarterback coach, OC, head coach, your DNA is going to allow you to do very, very well. But
Well, I appreciate that.
Even if it's finance, you're going to do well. So the sky is the limit for you, my friend. Is there anything else you think that's important for someone to know about you that they don't?
That's a great question. No, I mean, I think that, what I've learned throughout like my entire journey, over these past 7 years in the NFL and, going through being a third string quarterback, being a practice squad quarterback, being a backup, battling for backup jobs in training camp, not getting an opportunity to back up. I think it's been a great self-discovering journey for me in a lot of ways, because like I said, I think a lot that I put my self-worth in was that validation
100%,
from other people, and that validation that I was, this great player, and even watching like videos of Mark growing up, and like that was for me, like I wanted to be like that, and I always felt like that was my entire identity. And I think over the past 4 or 5 years, I've learned that football is just a part of who I am. And it's not all who I am. It certainly has provided me many opportunities and so many different things that I'm thankful for, but it's also taught me a lot about, who I am and what I want to be moving forward as a man, first and foremost, and as a husband, and as a son and a brother, as I mentioned.
It's interesting because when you're talking to a high performer, regardless of the industry, you get to a level where it's like the 1% level. You get to the top. But in a lot of ways, it's never enough because there's always another level. Right? So, heck, you threw for 15,000 yards in high school, 12,000 yards in college. There's another level. You go to the NFL, there's another level. You become a backup, there's another level. You become a starter, there's always another level. And I think the key to what you're saying, to find peace and fulfillment in all of it, is actually the journey and the process. It's not, you're seeking the next level, but you're not putting your identity in that you have to achieve this, because you're already operating at a 1% level. But for us men and women, right, whose identity, if that was just in that, you're constantly never enough. It's never enough. And that's a very empty feeling when here you're sitting at the top, where 99.9% of people would dream to play in the NFL, and deep down those talks, those voices are, there's no level, you haven't made it yet, and you're like far, like it's like torture.
No, you're 100% spot on, because it's, I look at, like, I've been a backup now for 7 years, and there's been times where I've been a backup and then back down to a third string like I was last year, and it's like, and like you're saying, if you put your identity constantly in like, oh, am I getting to that next level?
100%.
You're not enjoying the process of growth. I've become a better player and a better person throughout all of this, but I haven't necessarily moved up in my career to being a starter. And I think once I wrap my mind around that, like, I was putting all my identity in like, oh, I need to be the starter or else I'm not. I'm nothing. You know what I mean? And like, why am I not?
You didn't pan out.
Why am I not playing more? Like, why? And there's so many things that are out of your control. Like, so you have to just constantly, like you said, put your identity in
100%. How
can I grow on a day-to-day basis? What's that process look like for me? And it's not necessarily results-based driven. It's not at all, actually. It's not even not necessarily. It's process-oriented. How do I build up my own self-worth with the values that I truly believe that are fundamental to me and important to me, and how do I live by those every day? How
much does Laura, your wife, remind you of this? Because she's an athlete. She understands. She played in college. How much does she remind you of like these things we're talking about, deep topic, deep conversation? How often do you guys have that conversation where she was like, Brett, snap out of it. Like, you're constantly enough. You're enough.
And that's, and that's the one thing that, for anybody that knows my wife, she has a great sense of self-worth, and is very confident in who she is and what she brings to the table. And that's something that I've always really, really admired about her. And even like these past, she's been trying to work when I've been in the NFL, and it's over the past 3 years, it's been, just really hard with her traveling back and forth. So we decided that, she's this last year that she was not going to work until, I'm done, or we have to move to that next stage of our lives. But she's just been steady throughout all of that. Like, yeah, she could be very successful in whatever, career endeavor that she wanted to go into right now. But, she's there for me right now. And again, she's so confident in like who she is and what she brings to the table. She knows if she ever has to go into the workforce that she's going to provide so much for, a company or whatever she wants to do.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I would say, but you way out punted your coverage, brother.
No doubt.
Last question. If you were a young athlete, like a high school or college athlete today, what advice would you give them based on your experience and what you know now as a professional athlete? What advice would you give them if they were listening in today, or the mom or dad is, and they're like, hey, hon, listen to what Brett Rypien has to share? What would be that wisdom that you would share with that boy or girl?
Well, I think the first question I would ask is like, who are you? Right? Like, who do you think you are? And if your entire identity is wrapped around, well, I'm a great football player, then we got to do some self-searching here. We got to build on, like I said, what are your values? What are the things that you're going to live by every single day? Because that's for everyone, even Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Football is going to end at some point, or whatever sport that you're in is going to end at some point. So if all your identity is wrapped around being a great football player and you're not building those other parts of your life that are a lot more important when you're done playing football, there's going to be a struggle in that transition. I've seen that with so many different players that I've played with. So I think, build up that identity and that self-worth in yourself. And that has nothing to do with whatever sport that you're playing. And that's ultimately going to help you, I think, with when you get into those high pressure moments and those high pressure games, is when you can go out there and you can feel comfortable in who you are, and you don't need validation from other people, and you don't need that fame or notoriety. Yeah. You're a lot more comfortable.
How do you do that? So if you're, let's say you're a 16-year-old kid and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. How do you do that?
I think you do it with habits. I think habits to me are the one thing that you stack days, right? Yep. Like for me, like what's the most important thing in my life? Okay, the first one is being a child of God and having a relationship with God. So what do I do every single morning? I wake up and I pray. What's the next most important thing that's more important than football? We talk about faith, family, football. Okay, so family, right? My wife, my parents, am I truly connecting with them every single day, taking care of their needs, making sure that, Laura feels safe and secure in our relationship, making sure that, my parents are taken care of and that they're doing well, and constantly connecting with them because I don't live in Spokane. So making sure that I'm calling them, on a bi-weekly, daily basis, trying to really stay in touch with them, stay in touch with my sisters. And this is something that I'm still working on, constantly myself. But I think, like I said, you build up that in your mind of, okay, this is truly who I am, and this has nothing to do with football. And then football just becomes like, all right, here's what I bring to a team. Here's what I bring to an organization. That's and right. You're so confident in that the results of the day, like if you go out and you have a bad day and you throw 3 picks, well, that doesn't change who you are.
That's right.
And that's where like Preach. I've had to, really, like I said, change my mindset, because I was so up and down based on like how my day went on the field. And it was really all wrapped around in like 2 hours of practice I was going out there and I was throwing routes on air and, doing scout team work. And if I had a bad day, I felt like crap. And I'm like, I have no idea why. Well, it's because my entire being is wrapped up in like getting validation from other people in football.
So good. So good. Guys, please share this. because it's really valuable knowledge, whether your child plays sports or any other activities. We're talking very important topics here. Brett Rypien, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I love you.
Love
man.
You.
It's been a heck of an off season. I know we're not done yet, but you go to OTAs here and then you'll be back and forth. But guys, hopefully we have a new fan here. You're a new fan of Brett's. Keep your eyes on number 11 now, right?
Number 11.
Switch numbers. Number 11 for your Minnesota Vikings. What is Skol, by the way? All you non-Vikings fans, like you see SKOL. What is Skol?
I don't. You're putting me on the spot here. I don't know the history of Skol. I know that they started doing it.
It's awesome.
A few years ago, but yeah, it's the most electric chant in the NFL. I can tell you that when that thing comes on at home.
Oh my God!
Visiting team is feeling it.
Guys, keep your eyes peeled on the sideline for number 11, because I'll tell you, when he hits the field, hopefully we have about 60,000 new fans cheering on Brett. You see who's behind the mask here, and when I talk about one snap away, Brett's literally one snap away from doing his thing. So thanks so much, Brett, for joining us today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'd say follow him on social media, but don't do that, because hopefully he's still off it by the time this thing comes out. But you know where to find him. He'll be roaming the sidelines and hopefully on the fields as well. Brett, God bless you, brother.
God bless you, TD.
Are you a trainer or gym owner and you're feeling stuck, burnt out, or you're just ready to get to the next level? If so, today's your lucky day. Join the Todd Durkin High Performance Mastermind Group and get access to elite coaching, community, and more clarity. Oh, and by the way, a free ticket to our 3-day retreat in Whitefish, Montana this November. Yup, that's right. That's a $999 bonus, totally free for new members to the Mastermind Group. Book your free strategy session today. Call now at toddurkin.com/TD Mastermind, and let's build your plan to crush 2025. That's toddurkin.com/TD Mastermind. I'll see you in the room. Mindset. You just heard the mindset of Brett Rypien and how he talked about the mindset that it takes to be one of the best, even when you're the backup, even when you are one snap away, one pitch away from that. You talk about mindset mastery, faith in the fire, literally grinding in the shadows when you haven't hit the big time yet. That one snap away mentality is what I want to talk about for just a few minutes right now, because, well, for example, let's take Brett. Brett is one snap away from being a starter. What does that mean? What does it mean? I mean, when you're the starter, you're playing every play. You're the leader. You got the game in your hands, or in this case, Brett would have the ball in his hands 120 times a game. So he helps control the ultimate outcome, win or loss. And that also means, as a quarterback, more praise than you deserve when you win, and more blame and eyes on you when you lose. Would want it no other way, right? Would want it no other way. Is the ball's in your hands and you're working for that opportunity on that one snap away mentality. Now, let's say you don't play football, or you don't play baseball, you don't play sport. Are you one snap away? Like, maybe you're one step away from the media wanting to talk to you after the game if you are an athlete, or you being, in Brett's case, being on the cover of the program, or nowadays the cover of the social media post with millions of people looking on, or the post-game radio show, or in today's day, the podcast that attracts thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of listeners. Or you have your mugshot on the side of a building or the side of a stadium, or you're getting the big marketing and media deals. Or perhaps you're just getting to live out your boyhood dream or your girlhood dream, and you're getting to live out your maximum potential. Are you maxing out your potential is the question I ask in this mindset aspect of you're one snap away. And my question to you is this. Have you ever thought to yourself, I am so close to being where I'm supposed to be, yet how do I get there? I'm so close. Have you ever thought that to yourself? I'm so close to being where I'm supposed to be. I'm so close to a breakthrough, but I don't know what it is or when it's coming, but I know I'm close. How do I get there? Man, I'm so close that I can taste it. Have you ever thought to yourself that question? How close am I? I'm one snap away. If I got that one promotion, it would change the trajectory of my life. If I just got the one big break, I would do anything to get it or repay it to the person who could provide it if I had the opportunity. If I just got one big break, I know that would provide the momentum needed to set off that flywheel effect, to get the dominoes falling. And once the dominoes start falling, that momentum picks up and then you are where you feel you're supposed to be, but you're one snap away. That's the mentality I'm talking about. Anyone else? Or am I the only one? It doesn't matter if you're a student, an executive, a leader, an entrepreneur, or an NFL quarterback, or Major League Baseball pitcher, or a UFC fighter. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, 28, 35, 50, or 75 for that matter. You're one snap away from being the guy or being the girl. Or is it more than that? Is it the victory that's in the process? Is the victory in the process? Is it the perseverance that you display when you're in the midst of adversity or chaos? Or that you're backing up? Or you're not the starter? Is that where it's found? Or is it the character that you display, whether you're the starter or you are the backup, or you're the owner or you're the CEO, or you're the receptionist at the front desk that's going to work their way up into another position one step away from becoming the trainer or becoming from the busiest trainer, or you're going to become the assistant GM or the GM of the ball club or the organization. It's the one snap away mentality that Rip talked about that I love, because all of us, if you're listening to this podcast, have the mentality you're one snap away and you don't want to leave anything in the bank. You don't want to leave anything deep down inside saying, man, what if I would have done that? And I think that's why, as high performers who are always seeking to be their ultimate best, and when I asked you the question, what's your divine uniqueness? And are you maximizing your divine uniqueness as a person, a man or a woman? I go back to those principles. Live in victory, not for victory. Dial in your habits. Surround yourself with positive people daily, because when you're one snap away or you're the backup or you're on the sideline, it gets awfully lonely and you're in your head all the time and you're talking to yourself, and that can be some dangerous conversation. Anyone? Can I get an amen? Anyone? Oh, okay, good. I heard y'all. Good. The fourth is commit to learning, growing, being part of the team, and for being coached. Commit to learning, growing, being part of a team, and being coached. Because to get to the next level, all of us need coaches. Coaches need coaches. What's that going to take? And then, as Brett mentioned, he said, remember Psalms 23. Psalms 23. And this is what it says, in case you don't have the word right in front of you as you're out for your walk, your workout right now. You're out on a plane, train, or automobile. It says in Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's Psalms 23, and that, as Brett mentioned, was one of his go-to memory verses about Psalms 23. And I ask you right now in this mindset section, as you sometimes feel like you're one snap away, one play away, one move away, one pitch away, whatever it may be, is what is your anchor? What is that anchor? And here in Psalm 23, it talks about you restore my soul, right? You restore my soul, and I will fear no evil, because when your eyes are on him and you're trying to make him the object of where you're going, and that's the focus, then it all works out. Because again, when you think about that, like live in victory, not for victory. Live in it, not for it on that. And I love Psalm 23, and Brett made a great analogy to that and shared that so eloquently. So my friends, the mindset of one snap away is forever, for the rest of our lives. It's always going to be there in your quest to become the best that you can possibly be, so that you leave nothing behind. With that being said, in just a moment, I'm going to come back with a personal share that has to do with that one snap away mentality from another quarterback. But this quarterback is my son, because he's graduating from college as I record this live in just about 4 days. I'm getting ready to board a flight to North Carolina to go see Luke graduate, and I've got a personal share. But first, let's take a station break, a podcast break with a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. If you're a gym owner, a fitness coach, or in the martial arts space, your website and digital marketing needs to be dialed in. And that's exactly where my friends at 97 Display come in. 97 Display is the #1 website and digital marketing company in the fitness and martial arts industries. They don't do gimmicks, just real results-driven strategies that bring in more leads, more members, and more revenue. I've seen firsthand how they help fitness businesses grow, and they do it with trust, innovation, and a powerhouse team behind the scenes. Yes, they do. And here's the best part. Because you're a loyal listener of this Impact Show podcast, you can get started with them today for just $97. Yup, only $97 to level up your website and digital marketing in 2025. Don't wait. Go to 97display.com/Todd-Durkin right now. Tell them TD sent you and start seeing the impact of a high-performance marketing strategy team today. That's 97display.com/Todd-Durkin. All right, let's dive in right now to the personal section. And I'm really excited about this because I literally am hours away from boarding a plane to go back and see my son, Luke, who's graduating from Davidson College here this weekend. And as you listen to this episode, he will have just graduated. So it will be already over by the time you listen. But I wanted to share. And why is because, well, for several reasons. Number one, Brett Rypien has become in many ways a mentor and friend to Luke. And with the one snap away mentality that Brett has, I know Luke's got the same mentality, but bigger than football, it's kind of surreal. It's kind of crazy that when you think back as parents, for those of you who have kids or someday will have kids, how time flies. Time flies. And I promised that I'm not going to get emotional in this little personal share, but I promise you that when he started college in 2021, just 4 years ago, it feels like yesterday. The year was 2021. When I dropped him off, as I've shared in my book, True Strength, my back was a wreck. And I couldn't even go check him into his room because I had to stay in the hotel because my back was in such pain. I was months into a debilitating back injury. I just had my second knee replacement. I was in a new relationship with Fitness Quest 10 and what that meant. And I, in so many ways, felt lost because of the pain, because the physical pain gets in your head and then your head gets in your pain. And it's this loop. And I've talked about this loop of how do you break the pain-fear loop. The pain-fear loop. When you're in pain, it creates fear. When you're in fear, it creates pain. And it's a loop that you got to break because some people live in it all the time for the rest of their life. And I've been preaching on this forever. But in many ways, back in 2021, 4 years ago, I felt like the world had collapsed, but I couldn't really describe it. And I certainly didn't talk about it. I was just trying to figure it out between back and business, my second year replacement. I felt lost. And in so many ways, Luke, who was just starting off as a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed freshman at college, gave me life. And I just wrote a note to him. You know, it's kind of I'm not going there, but it kind of was like his last helmet note. Even though he's not playing a game this weekend, it was kind of like a last helmet note because when I think about all the highlights and even lowlights of 4 years, I want y'all to think about for you, even reflect back 4 years ago. I think about Luke and I have some universal principles at the end, but I think football and the highlights there, and graduating with like a 3.8 GPA and ROTC, because in order to go to Davidson, I said, I'm not paying no $80,000 a year to go there when you got scholarships elsewhere. He's like, well, I'll go then ROTC. I'm like, good, then go ROTC. And he did. And what am I most proud of? What I'm most proud of is in the 1 year, his junior year, he persevered through a ton of adversity. And it was really hard, really hard. It's hard to go through it. I sometimes think it's harder as a parent to watch someone go through it, because I'd rather walk through it myself. I'd rather experience the pain myself. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, especially if you're a parent. You'd rather go through the pain than seeing your son or daughter go through it, but you know they have to go through it in order to grow on that. And it's not what I'm most proud of. It's not the TDs thrown. It's that he persevered through the hell, and he persevered through not playing. And when he was benched in his junior year, even as a parent and as a coach, and not agreeing with how it was handled necessarily, Luke and I talked 2 or 3 times a day for months on end. And I continue to remind him about you're one snap away. You're one snap away. You're one snap away. And we thought and talked about all the things that help you get through the day. And that included, hey, do you transfer at the end of the semester? Like nowadays, you just, when things don't go right, you transfer. And that was a discussion, but something he ultimately chose not to do. Do you stay and persevere? And who knows what happens? And you know what? In hindsight, looking back over 4 or 5 months of hell, he doubled down on his ROTC, and he got serious with ROTC. He doubled down on his future and his career. Instead of always talking about football, we now talked about life. We talked about school. We talked about things that wasn't the common conversation since he's been in 6th grade, and his dream and goal was to be a football player. And yeah, we talked about other things, but it really was predominant around football. And long story short, Luke decided to not only stay at Davidson, he decided he was going to be an Army JAG attorney. Yeah, an Army JAG attorney. I'm like, well, I don't know if I can help you there, but tell me about it. And I knew that would require a ton of studying for the LSATs. In the middle of going through all this, when he was on winter break and he came home, he spent about 5-6 hours a day studying on the break of his junior year after the season that was tumultuous. And then that meant also studying all spring, because he was back to compete for the starting job in the spring of his senior year on that, so that he could take the LSATs. And that's what he did. He took this time of adversity and challenge, great challenge. And I remember myself, like, why do I have such angst about it, or even anxiety about this? Because I can't control it, right? I, as a parent, can't control it. He had to walk through it. And you know what? Not only did he walk through it, he persevered through it and ended up crushing the LSAT. He went to Army boot camp last summer for 40 days. That was boot camp. And he crushed it, became in the top 5% of the Army boot camp. He ended up getting his ed delay so he could delay the entry into the Army to go to law school. And he got in a bunch, and he just decided that he's going to the University of South Carolina to be a Gamecock this coming August. He'll be a Gamecock. And you know what's interesting about it? His senior year, he conducted himself like a captain would, like a military young man would, and he led the team. And unfortunately, the other quarterback got hurt the first game of the season, and Luke was inserted. And play he did. Played his absolute tail off, but with such a different mentality. Loved his boys. He played for the boys, and he's got some great young men around him, teammates and friends for life. And other than a separated shoulder that he got from running this dang triple option offense that used to be at Davidson, now it's Gonzo, 1 year too late. It kept him out 2 games of his senior year. He started all the other games. And he ended his senior year looking back with, man, what a 4-year journey, because you don't know the ups and downs. When you get to college, you get to the pros, like there's so many ups and downs, and we have dreams and aspirations, but sometimes you get thrown just different things you can't control. But how you control that adversity, or how you handle that adversity, is everything. It's everything. And I'm most proud of that. is looking back of not the touchdown thrown or made ESPN one time on a double flea flicker touchdown his senior year. Like, cool. It's how he handled months and months of adversity. And while he had a good relationship with his head coach, it was really about how he handled his junior year and going through it and how he used that to really propel him into what's going to be his next 40 years as an Army JAG attorney or as an attorney after the Army 4-year commitment is over after law school. But as I get ready to board a plane tomorrow, I know it's going to be an emotional weekend. I know that. And I'm really, really proud of the past 4 years. And he's going to go on and go to law school, and then he'll go and into the Army and be a JAG attorney. And he's going to serve 4 years and serve our great country. And I told him, and like he's going to read in his last helmet note this weekend, is it's all because of the discipline, the hard work, and the mindset to have one snap away. You're one snap away from getting back in the game. You keep working on Saturdays and Sundays. You keep doing things that no one else is doing because you know inside of you what's made of you, and I know what's made of you because I never gave up belief in him, because every one of us needs someone else to believe in us, because sometimes it's other people who believe in you or believe in me more than I believe in me, or someone else believes in themselves. And that's part of my role and as a coach is to help people to believe in themselves, sometimes where they believe in themselves. Can I get an amen? Anybody? Because that is the truth. All of us, with that mindset, you're one snap away. What's it like to sit on the sidelines and wait? It's horrible. Has anyone else ever had to sit on the sideline and wait for a year or 4 or 5 or never even make it on the other side? And hey, parents, if that's you and you're watching your daughter or your son, I know how hard it is. Maybe they're not the star athlete. They don't need to be. There's a much bigger picture here on this, but I know you parents can empathize because not everyone has the star student athlete on there, and even if they do, there's always someone else out there, right? That could take their job, or they're destined for the next level. That's cool. But the character and traits that we learn, man, let me tell you, there's a few things I would say for any one of us, myself included. Continue to work your tail off. That's number 1. Number 2, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Fortitude, attitude, integrity, trust, and humility. Fortitude, attitude, trust, and humility. I talked last week on the podcast about integrity, doing what is right when no one else is watching. Are you doing what is right when no one else is watching? Only you can do the mirror test, and I can answer that question, because when Tom Campanero said that last week, like, that's an important question. And he said that we have an integrity issue in this country. Now, I know not you or me may have that, but how do we instill more integrity in our young men and women? And heck, even in us older men and women, right? Like, I'm getting thirsty, getting preaching on this here. But keep the faith. Even when some people around you, including sometimes even your coaches, lose faith in you. If there's a coach that loses faith in you, don't lose faith in yourself. I know how many times we as athletes or players can put our trust in a coach. When they lose their faith in you, you better find someone to make sure that you have around you that can remind you of what you do and why you do it. And number 3, lastly, there's always something greater waiting for you. Keep going. Keep going, man. Keep going. Don't ever give up. It goes back to what I said with our nightly routine going back 22 years now, and what I established with our kids back in the day. And for you parents who have not yet done this, regardless of the kid's age, if they're young, definitely start now. If they're, elementary, middle, or high school, started, it's okay. Is I would go in that room every darn night and I'd say, we're the Durkins. We always do our best and we never give up. We're the Durkins. We always do our best. We never give up. Keep going in the hard times, because I've always said this, there's going to be a hard time coming up. And guess what? That ain't going to be the last one that Luke faces, or that I face, or that you face. They're always going to be there. But that mentality to keep going, and when you're surrounded with a band of brothers and or sisters around you, there's always something greater waiting for you. There's always something greater waiting for you. And ultimately, though, that one snap away mentality is one that must be kept when you're playing every play and things are great, or you're riding the bench riding pine, as they say. You're riding pine and you're like, man, I know I'm destined for more. I know that I have more in me. If they only gave me a chance, if they only knew, or if I could only get healthy, or if I could only do this, keep going. It's all going to be okay. And there's always a bigger game than the actual game. Play the big game. Play the big game. Hey, Luke, I'm proud of you, man. And I can't believe this chapter's coming to a close. And I must say, I'm so excited for the next phase as well. And my friends, today, I hope this one snap away mentality is something that you use this week, this month, and for the rest of 2025 and beyond. You're one snap away, that one snap away mentality, that one pitch away, that one moment away mentality is going to get you really far in life. That's a wrap, my friend. It's time to board up the plane for Davidson, North Carolina, and put this 4-year chapter to bed and give this young man a big old hug. I thank you. I'll be on social media. You want to hit me up, follow me, DM me, take a picture, please. If you enjoyed today's episode, please, whether it was Brett Rypien talking about the one snap away mentality, whether it was the mindset of one snap away mentality, or even Luke's mentality here over 4 years, can you please take a picture, snap it, and then tag. You can tag Brett, you can tag Luke, you can tag me and the Impact Show. Until next time, remember, you got to train hard, you must eat right, and you got to live inspired so you can create the impact that you want to create. Remember, you're one snap away. Get it.